Hello, my name is Christopher McCrudden and I am a student in the University of Murcia, and today I'm going to be showing you my final project for the subject of resources and ICT in education. So I've created an activity that is built for children between the ages of 6 to 8 that is going to teach them that not everything that they see and hear is completely true. This is going to cover the topic of media literacy, and it's going to be using some resources like an mTiny robot, the tiles that come along with the robot, any form of augmented reality. Here I've used Quiver and I've downloaded one of the worksheets, and here at the bottom you'll see there's a QR code that we can scan with our phones, or if the school is lucky enough, a tablet will be available for the children to use, so they can participate individually. So, as I said before, this project is designed for children between 6 and 8 years of age. And the reason for it is children at this age start to develop a natural curiosity and an understanding that everything that they hear and see may not be entirely true, especially in a world full of cartoons and videos and internet stories. But the problem is sometimes they don't know how to differentiate, or they don't know how to distinguish between reality and things that are fictional. So here, this project is designed to give them a little bit more clarity and help them to think a little bit more critically about what they hear and what they see. So, being a teacher, we need to understand that some kids are maybe better using tablets. Some kids are maybe going to take the cards and start to stack them up like Jenga, or some kids are just going to get distracted by maybe seeing a robot like this for the first time. So the idea was to keep this project as simple, as interesting, engaging, and also as visually interesting as possible, to try and get the attention of every individual child. And in terms of learning, we're going to be connecting to the Spanish curriculum, the LOMLUE, and we're actually going to be working on communication, digital competence, basic programming, and social and civic values. The project name is called Fake News Detectives, and it's called this because children must investigate silly or ridiculous stories and decide whether they are fake news or whether they are true stories. So I might give them a cue or a headline that maybe a pig has been seen flying over the playground, or a bull wins the basketball tournament with the final shot. And the children, through the augmented reality, which will bring this bull to life, or it'll bring the pig to life, will use the robot to navigate through the map, land on the cues, ask the questions, and ultimately decide whether the story is fake news. So now we have the fun moment, the moment we get to put this into action and we actually get to see the project come to life. So as you can see in front of me is everything I need to carry out this activity. We have the mTiny robot, the little discs that they're going to use to program it, the augmented reality picture, and the little road tiles that the students are going to navigate through to arrive at the cues. So, very straightforward. The first thing that we need to do is we need to create a topic. We need to create a storyline, and it's going to be something completely made up and something that is going to seem a little bit silly to the children. This is where the first thing we do is download from Quiver or any other website can be merged. At the bottom, you will see that there is a QR code, and this will be scanned using the phone, or an additional resource, if possible, use a tablet, and we can share it on the screen for the whole class to see. But if not, the activity still works. The next part that we have to do is the children, individually or in pairs, are going to select one of the topics that I've decided. As I said here, the topic could be a bull wins the championship basketball match, or it could be another picture of maybe a snake, and we could say a snake was found in the school cafeteria. The next thing that we have to do, the third step, is going to be build the map. And this is relatively easy. It can be as big or as small as you want. And that's the beauty about this task. It can be as flexible as you need it to be. Here on the second tile, we can see that there is clue. And the purpose is that the children arrive to the clue and they will be given a piece of information. For example, I might say to them, a bull can't run, or a snake can't fly. And it's to start to get them to think creatively about whether the story is true or false. And that's the whole point of this media literacy, is to get them thinking more critically and questioning their surroundings a little bit more. So when we have the map created, we're going to add our augmented reality picture here at the end. We're going to scan it, and it's going to look like this. So the next part of the activity is the most interesting, and following the PICRAT framework, we want the children to be actively participating in the activity, and what they have to do is program the robot. Generally with this, I would like to give them as little instructions as possible and watch them try to unravel the mystery of these educational robots. But because we're short on time, I'll show you how it works. At the back, we have a button. We turn it on. It's cute, isn't it? We're going to place him on the first tile. And the objective of the children is to program the robot to arrive to the clue. So, we have our starting disk. We place down. Our first command, we place on top. Second command, we place again. And finally, we need to tell the robot when to stop. So, we'll turn on our remote. And we will then tell it what to do, just simply by tapping on the dials. So now the children have arrived at the first clue, and I will give them a piece of information, and I will say, bulls can't run, bulls can't talk, and here is where we're going to incorporate some basic vocabulary that is suitable for children ages between 6 and 7. We can use basic verbs, we can use clothes, any topic will be suitable for this. You can use, you can follow along the lines of what they're learning from their activity books or their English textbooks. The next part of the task is then the children will have to reprogram the robot, following the same steps, and try arrive to the second clue. So, we need to turn it. And we'll do it again. Again, the children will give you another clue, and they will reprogram it one more time to arrive at their destination. When they finally arrive at their destination, this is the whole point of the project. They must tell me whether the story is true or false. And it's not as simple as saying, no, it's not true, or yes, the story is true. What the children must do is explain to me why the story is not true. So now I want to show why I chose augmented reality. Augmented reality, the My Tiny robot, and the eShare to complement my project. Given that the PICRAT framework, which shows us how meaningful a digital activity actually is, shows how meaningful these resources are within its methodology. And the main concept is that the project should be active and creative. The children programming the robot and creating their own pathway makes it active because they're actively having to program it using the little program discs, little plates, and they're having to build their individual path. Next, we have the augmented reality, which takes a basic drawing and brings it to life. This is transformative. It also makes it interactive because the children are building as they go along and also recording. So the whole project is being built and created by them to get to the final goal, which is to make that decision of whether this story is true or false. The whole point of it is for the media literacy and the children to distinguish between fake news and true news. So now we've done the fun part, we've designed the project, we've got the children participating, people are learning, people are having fun, but we need to be, now comes the moment to be a little bit more serious. And we talk about assessments, not just assessing the tools and resources, but how do we also assess the children? So here is a quick assessment rubric. And we're going to cover things of their engagement, were they participating or did they need a little bit more encouragement? How was their media understanding? Did they show awareness of advertisement versus stories? Or what I was saying was true or false? Or were they struggling to differentiate in between the two types? Their communication, how they expressed why the stories are fabricated. This could be based on their vocabulary and their ability to articulate ideas. So the last thing that we need to assess are the tools that we're using to create this project. So that's the program robots, the mTiny, and the augmented reality. In this case, it would be Quiver. And using the e-learning tool evaluation rubric, I was able to investigate and see, are these suitable for children of this age and are they suitable for the classroom? So what I came across was that mTiny doesn't store any data, which is fantastic for us. We have the policy covered. And Quiver doesn't ask for any sign-up details, so the children are not putting any personal information into it. The only concern that I came across was that Quiver did use a camera, does need a camera, so therefore we would need to check the settings and the policies of this application. But I do believe under the correct guidance and supervision of a teacher, it poses minimal threat. So lastly, for this part, I would like to talk about my conversation with artificial intelligence, and what I used was ChatGPT. So I put in this, and as we can see, the conversation was engaging. I gave some good ideas, and what I liked about it was that it's designing this activity aligned perfectly with the constructivist approach, which I like. Because I do like children to be engaging correctly and hands-on with their learning. I do think, personally, I learn that way. And I do think that interactive learning is definitely a great way to advance with the constant evolution of technology. The second part of the conversation with ChatGPT really secured that I found that it was a good idea, really solidified that it was a good idea, because it works with multimodal learning, which I like. I think it's fantastic how the kids, when they're engaging visually, when they're engaging physically, and this sort of reinforces the hands-on approach. So the idea itself was generated by ChatGPT, and there was just some small minor details that I came in and changed afterwards. Small details about the roadmap that I really liked, putting on the extra little cues. So ChatGPT gave me the foundations for it, and I went ahead and built the rest of the project. So for part 2 of the exam, I've chosen questions 2, 3, and obviously question number 5 is mandatory. So I would like to start with the 2 theoretical knowledges, and the first one, which is the most incredible one, is PICRAT. This is basically for us as teachers set the benchmark about what the standard is and how, why, and when we should be incorporating technology into our classrooms. So based around my project, for example, I had to make sure that it was interactive, I had to make sure it was creative, and following the PICRAT framework, I think going forward in life, I will definitely be keeping it as sort of the foundation of any technological activities that I would like to do. The second one is the media literacy, which I covered in my exam. And the reason why I find media literacy tremendously important is because children at such a young age are still getting to this point in their lives when they're not sure how to differentiate between fact and fiction. And here, what we're actually trying to do, and it's fantastic to be part of this process, is we ultimately want the children to elaborate on their critical thinking. Here, I've decided to add, as part of my conceptual knowledge, the augmented reality. When I was first presented augmented reality, I was a little bit in the dark, I was a little bit afraid, but I have to say it has been a game changer. The kids really engage in it, and going forward, it's just, I'm going to be using it a lot more. The more I get comfortable with it, the more the kids are going to enjoy the class. It just brings a traditional classroom to life, and that's really what we should be doing as teachers, evolving. And with the technology, our possibilities are endless. The last one that I have added here are the educational robots. And the educational robots for me are, again, great because they're not just used for little gimmicks. We can use them to teach mathematics. We can use them to teach, here we're teaching them media literacy, but they can be used in a wide variety of different subjects. And I think they will be somewhat the future of technology within the classroom. So for the next question, we're working with the PLE, the learning environment, and this is mine. And the 5 that I've chosen are, firstly, ChatGPT, which has been a fantastic resource for me. It helps me in moments of insecurity when I maybe don't understand what's the next process, or I have too many thoughts in my head, that it allows me to organize them better. Secondly, one of the other key elements would be YouTube. I've used it for a long time, and it helped me to understand things like Picrat or TPAC a lot better, to help me understand concepts. Another one that I will definitely be using without a shadow of a doubt is Canva. This is just having basically at your fingertips a world of creativity. Another one that is very important to me is the weekly planner. The weekly planners help me because I've been able to participate as much as I would like in classes. The weekly planners help me to keep on top of and keep myself organized and structured. It's not the best way to do it, obviously, but it has definitely helped me, and I'm sure a lot of other people would find this relatively useful. And going into the future, there is one that I would really like to take with me, and I would like to create a digital teacher's toolkit. And this would be basically all the apps or all the activities that I've created. I would like to have them stored, that I will be able to utilize them once more, or also be able to build on them and create bigger and cooler projects for the kids. So for the final part of this exam, we'll talk about my grade. And sincerely, I don't deserve the greatest grade in the world. I'm very clear of that there, basically because other people have been participating more consistently than me and have been applying themselves much more to the course. But in saying that there, for my circumstances, I have given it 110%, and personally more to this course than any other course, because it was stepping out of my comfort zone. So if I had to give myself a grade, I would give myself a 6. And that's probably been a bit generous. The next part is to talk about the most challenging thing I came across. I would have to say, without a shadow of a doubt, it was augmented reality. I was a little bit skeptical at the start. I was a little bit terrified. It was unknown territory for me, and there was moments I wanted to pull my hair out with it, but in the end, I ended up using it towards my exam because I really enjoyed it. And this is what this course has taught me. This course has taught me that if you step outside of your comfort zone, you're walking into a whole new world of possibilities. And now I feel so comfortable using it, to the point of I can investigate things, I can play around with it a little more, actually create ideas about it. And the last thing that I would like to talk about is AI in the exam. I used ChatGPT to help me structure step by step what I should be doing. So I give it my ideas. I had an idea more or less of what I wanted to do with the augmented reality and with the robots. ChatGPT gave me a little bit more guideline, but I probably used ChatGPT more in other parts, for example, when I had to set up the blog or using artificial augmented reality for the first time. But within the exam, it helped me prepare bits of my script and helped me to re-study and review other things that I went over before. So it's been a big part, but at the end of the day, ultimately, it's the humane part of me that built the activity and that interacts with the kids throughout this project. And this will never be, artificial intelligence will never take over that human connection that we have and this up here. So thank you very much for watching my video. I really appreciate it, and touch wood.